All right, welcome back, Over 50 fans. Today in our Chiari playlist, we're going to do something that we haven't done. We probably should have done, but we didn't actually think about doing this when I was having my surgery and when we got the diagnosis. So we're going to talk about the diagnosis, when we got it, how we felt about it. My wife's going to talk about her feelings and her emotions when she found out about it, and basically how this has impacted her through the recovery process, because some of you out there are caregivers for young children, and you're wondering, what should I expect? What can I, what's going on? I can tell you how I felt, but I can't give you her input. So she's going to go ahead and do that. So we'll just start off with the diagnosis. When the first thing that I noticed is, went and saw my neurosurgeon. He said, we can't do anything without an MRI. I said, well, I've got a spinal cord stimulator, so I prefer not to be, shredded like a pulled pork sandwich.
Yeah.
So I can't get an MRI. They found a place that could do an MRI of my head, because that's the only kind of MRI I can have. So that kind of worked out. So I got the MRI done on a Friday, and it was Monday morning. We received a call, and they wanted to try to get us in as soon as possible. They asked us what was the normally you call the doctor and say, give me your first available. They were calling us and asking me when is my first available. So there, things kind of went off like, okay, this is going to be relatively
Yikes.
big news.
Yeah.
This isn't, something minor. They saw something, and, it's that important that they wanted to try to rush me in. So we go in, and he basically tells me that I have Chiari Malformation Type 1, and that I'm at 18 millimeters. And of course, we just kind of looked at him like, okay, that doesn't
Doesn't
mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
He said, usually we don't start to worry until people get over 5. Then it kind of hit home a little bit that this is something major. I was happy that we knew what was causing the dizzy spells, because I would get up, take 15, 20 steps, and then all of a sudden it sort of felt like my legs were 2 steps ahead of my brain. And I'm going to get yelled at the end of this video, because I had an episode where I ended up on my southern quarter on the floor. And as I was...
Like an hour ago.
Yeah, and as I was going down, it was sort of like falling in slow motion. It was just like, whoa, this is not really...
Okay, so let's not leave him hanging. It was because he had not eaten anything but a banana today, and it was almost supper time.
I also had some Chex Mix, but banana and Chex Mix for lunch does not constitute a meal. So
Yeah.
when you are
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
when you're recovering, you need to eat. So
Definitely.
that will be something that I'm sure I will be managed the next couple days. I'm going to be reminded to eat. But my daughter came running, and that's when I could tell that something was not right. And then the way she was reacting, I was like, oh boy. So that probably is because I didn't have anything to eat. But back to the reaction, we had been chasing this thing for probably about a year and a half.
Yes.
And
Because of COVID, we couldn't get an appointment.
No one wanted to take new patients. It was, really difficult. I mean, I had the referral, and I'd been calling this place. I got the referral probably after Thanksgiving. So I was calling them the whole month of December. And I think we got in about mid-January, or tail end of January.
Yeah, right about.
Tail end of January. And that's when they said, well, we need the MRI. And then we got the MRI results back, and
Sorry.
we're trying to get some assistance from one of our canines. So that's what we're trying to avoid there. And we're not shooting this a second time, because we did it the first time and there was such a nasty glare. So we're not going to do that again. But so that's kind of how I felt. I was like, okay, let's go ahead and get surgery. Let's get this fixed. It's like, well, he told us that this is not something that he does a lot in his practice. He said he'd be more than happy to offer the surgery. He'll be more than happy to do the surgery, but he'd rather refer us to the Mayo Clinic. I'm thinking, okay, snap. I mean, that's just like, that's like, okay, we're gonna get Michael Jordan to play on your team. Michael's gonna come and play in basketball. I mean, when Michael Jordan was playing, it's like, Yeah, I mean, I'll take the Michael Jordan to medicine.
But my thought on that was, okay, we've already been trying to figure this out for a year and a half. How long is it going to take to get into Mayo?
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But so I was really happy that he had the
Diagnosis.
he had the diagnosis, but he wasn't. He could do the surgery, but he, instead of just doing the surgery to do it and make some money, he decided. I mean, I felt he was doing what was best in my interest. So that really, I felt good about that, and I felt good about the surgery, but she not so much. I want to let her talk about it.
Not so much. As his wife, as his partner, it was scary on my end to have anything done to him. Especially with a brain type surgery. One little slip and my husband doesn't come home. So I was very apprehensive about the whole thing, thinking,
And your mom had brain surgeries too.
Yeah, my mom had a brain surgery that didn't turn out so well. So I was understandably concerned. And
this isn't like a hernia surgery.
No, which he's had,
2 of them.
3 days later he's back to work. It's not a big deal. Yeah. This is the first time in our lives together that he's ever had to take a significant amount of time off work because he was having something major done. It's normally the other way around. It's normally him taking care of me and my health issues and my leg and my surgery and this and that.
I've sat in the waiting room many a times.
Which I don't recommend for anybody. It was awful. I hated that waiting room.
Would you describe it as 7.5 hours of hell?
Yeah. And then, because of COVID, I'm the only one allowed there. My daughter could not come sit with me. My best friend could not come sit with me. I had to sit there all alone and just rely on phone calls and texting everybody and any update. No. So.
When everybody texts you asking for an update, that makes it even that much more worse when you're sitting in the waiting room. So what would you recommend that they do, or is there anything they could obviously bring something to try to
I brought my
on.
crochet, I brought my tablet, I brought my phone, I brought audiobooks, I brought a puzzle to work on, I brought my video game. I can tell you 5 minutes into any activity and I was just a bundle of nerves. So bring plenty to keep yourself busy, but don't plan on actually touching any of it for more than a few minutes.
And that's just, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot of waiting, and then you don't know anything. So what was it like when he came out, or is there anything like, will they get updates every so far?
Now with Mayo, they actually texted. Patient has been taken to surgery. The surgery has begun. The surgery is closing. Patient has been moved to the recovery room. The doctor's ready to talk to you. Please come to the desk. So I got text updates. Well, that's not a person. That's not, it's very impersonable these days with the way that they have to do things because they can't get right up in your face and talk to you.
And they can't just come out and say, hey, he's great. He's irritable and he's biting people's head off in recovery, but he's good. Because I tend to do that after surgery, so I'm not a very pleasant patient after I've been cut on or cut open. So
because if he's in like this much pain, he's unbearable.
A little bigger threshold than that, but yeah, I don't do pain. So just don't like it. Hey. So also the hair, get used to this because you can't have your hair cut until 2 weeks after your stitches are out. My surgery was April 9th, so I should have been able to actually, brush my hair because, I used to have a ponytail, so I can't brush all the way back because that's where the scar is. Do you want to give them a scar update?
Yeah. Nope, just set up.
Okay.
Just set up. Hold on. New contraption. Well, maybe not. Sorry, guys.
Okay. No scar update.
No scar update. It's perfectly healed. It looks amazing. He's got 2 little scabbies left where the stitches were. that you can't even see. I can only feel them. But he still comes to me at least 3 times a day. Will you look at my incision? Will you look at my incision? So,
Well, it itches, and what can you do for the itch? There's not a whole lot you can do for the itch. What I was doing was I would just gently, like when I had the stitches in there, I would just gently, sort of not rub the incision, but just sort of like rub the stitches, and that kind of sort of took care of the itching part. And I got told that I shouldn't have been doing that. And then when the stitches came out, don't touch them. Don't touch it, don't rub it, don't do anything. Once a day, you can put Neosporin on it if it's itching really bad. So that's what my doctor told me. Let me put a disclaimer. I am not a doctor, so, you ask your doctor first whether or not, you can do the Neosporin thing. But I tried, putting my hand back there, finding it, and then if it itched, trying to itch scratch as close to it as I could. And that seemed to sort of work a little bit. But, yeah, your hair is going to be kind of this way until you can actually get your first haircut, and then I got this little thing sticking out here. So, it's just,
it'll grow back.
Yeah, it'll grow back. It's just that's something else you're going to have to manage and deal with. But that's life as a zipper head, So, I don't know if there's anything else. Were we excited? I think we covered that. I was excited. She not so
I was
much.
not excited.
It was nice to know what was happening and why it was happening. So that was huge. So excitement, and as far as that goes, that was.
Well, it was exciting to finally have a reason. It was not exciting to know the cure. And he still gets a little cranky, and he still has, I call him his Chiari headaches, and where he's just unbearable and annoying. And
like I said in previous videos, this surgery is sort of like, removing a piano off the carpet. You're going to have indentations where the legs were sitting for however many years or months that piano was there. And it's going to take time for the carpet to, bounce back to its normal position. So
and he's an old guy. They didn't find this in him when he was a kid. Were there symptoms when he was a kid? Don't know.
And they say the younger you are, the easier the recovery is. So I don't know if it, like I was told, if I was in my 20s or 20s to 30s, we're looking at a 4 weeks recovery, which meant I would have been able to finish out the school year. I was at 6 weeks. 6 week was Friday, and then I was cleared to go to work this weekend on Saturday, but because there's not enough time left in the school year, I can't go back. So what would you, let's say I was a young child, how would you, what kind of advice would you give to caregivers that have a young child? How would you tackle that? What would you do in that situation? And I know I'm throwing this at her without any prep, so she's not really happy with me right now.
I've, my
again.
child has had his tonsils out. My oldest child has had multiple sets of tubes and ear surgeries and scar tissue cleanup, and any surgery that your child goes through is
Torture.
Okay. But all you can do is give them their prescribed meds, just like I did with him. Be there, hold them.
Give them a lot of love. And don't let them see that you're worried, probably, right? Because that's what you said you had to do with our eldest, if I remember right. Because kids are perceptive.
Most definitely.
Kids are smart.
Husbands are perceptive, too.
Yeah, like I'm gonna get in trouble after this video for springing this one on her, but
no, I don't mind, actually. It's.
But they're gonna realize if you're anxious, they're gonna be like, why is mommy acting different? Mommy's not normally. This is not normal, mommy. What's up? And then they're gonna start asking you, and then you're gonna have to try to field those questions and field them in a way that's not going to, What would you?
My outlook on it, and I've always been extremely honest with my kids. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what they're going to do to fix you, or it's just life in general. This is how I feel. how do you feel? And just keep those lines of communication open. It's same thing I did with him. It's talk to me, tell, do you need some more? Do you need additional medication? Do I need to call your doctor for something? Unfortunately, little kids can't tell you what they need sometimes,
Yeah.
but as a parent, you can catch on to it.
You kind of know certain
Yeah,
ins
it's
and
like
outs. I mean, it's your child, so you know
Yeah.
what your child needs.
or your spouse.
Yeah.
It's like I knew when he needed a pain pill or something because he'd yell at the cat. So it's like
Well, when the cat barrels across you at 50 miles an hour, and
at
you're
3 o'clock in the morning.
at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's like you're lucky I didn't get the back of your neck. So we've just went over the 15-minute mark, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap
Yes.
this up because this has been one of our longer videos. But I had some requests on things to talk about, so I hope I addressed those. If I didn't, please put something in the comments section, and
Let
we
us
will
know.
get back. We will get back to you.
Yeah.
Please click the subscribe button, and if you like the video, please hit the little like thing. If you don't want to subscribe, you can hit the like thing, and you don't have to subscribe. But hitting those likes lets YouTube know that people are seeing it, and then
Yes.
my video can get put into, I guess,
Rotation.
a rotation or upcoming videos, and people will be like, "Oh, let me click on that. That sounds interesting." But they do that off the likes and the subscriptions. But likes, I guess if there's a hierarchy, likes then subscriptions are what help. But
And leave
and
us
if you,
leave us a comment with any other questions that you have. We'll be happy to answer them.
yeah, and share the video
Yeah.
with anybody that you think might
Yep.
benefit from it. But with that, we're going to go ahead and close this out. Until next time, take it easy.
Have a good night.
Bye.